Okay, we're recording.
Hi.
Hi. Oh, let me try something because there's a thing here that says timeline footnote, and I keep
Mhm.
forgetting to try it, so I'll press it.
Yeah.
Okay, at 30 seconds, test. Oh, this is cool. So I can create footnotes.
Are they all just gonna be Richie as a bitch?
Hi, Richie.
Hi, Sin.
Hi, everyone. Richie, tell us what just happened.
I was killed by a man swinging his huge sack around. In Bloodborne.
Okay. And which anime are we talking about today?
Gurman. I mean the Bagman.
I don't get it.
That's why he's in the wheelchair.
Thank you, Richie.
It's 5 a.m. You're getting the uncensored version.
So, today we're talking about the kidnappers.
Ooh.
Spoopy. So, I remember my first encounter with a kidnapper. It was
Yeah.
very, very scary because you're like, oh no, he caught me. I guess I'm dead now. Well, whatever. I'll just respawn at the nearest lamp. Ha ha. You played yourself. Boom. Joke's on you, loser.
You have a very adversarial relationship with this game.
Yeah. But then, do you know what happened?
No, what happened?
I did not wake up near the nearest lamp. I woke up in jail.
That's what you get for making fun of people. You go to jail.
Yeah. And it was very scary because I had no idea where I was. I had no idea where to go. And it was just stairs and darkness and walls. And I encountered enemies and they were
Yeah.
just killing me. And I was just, what's happening? It was very, very scary.
Yeah.
And I remember being like, I have to find a way out. And I just like somehow ran up some stairs, ran away from some people, saw a lamp, and just like made it out. And I was so relieved.
Mm-hmm.
But this was the day that I swore that I will level up, come back there, and kill everything in that damn prison.
Right.
And then I spent the next few weeks waking up at 5 a.m. before work to
Yeah.
farm and to practice my parrying and to get
Mm-hmm.
more souls.
Mm-hmm.
And I did it because I was like level 200 by the time I got there. And I was like, let's see, you try bullying me now, let's go. And they could not bully me.
Good.
And I was very
Good.
proud of myself.
You should be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So, what about you? Can you tell me about your experience with the kidnappers?
It was pretty much exactly the same.
Hmm.
I was beaten to death with a sack, and I was sent to jail for not getting good enough to beat the guy with the giant sack.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're very scary, these guys. They also kick you. It's not a very. You know how Lady Maria, the fight is very like beautiful and like, or like the dancer, the fight is almost like a dance. And this guy just comes up to you and literally kicks you in the face with his foot.
Yeah. Did you realize that they had appeared because you'd beaten the blood-starved beast, or did you just think like you hadn't seen them before?
I had no idea what was going on in that game the entire time I played it, so I was just like, oh no, something inexplicable is happening again. You know?
Mm-hmm. And you were like, it doesn't. I guess it just doesn't make sense, and that's the point.
I was kind of reading the spoilers, but also I was trying to avoid them because I was like, oh, I get it. Once I finish the game, I'll understand, so I don't really want to read spoilers. Because I thought it was going to be revealed at the end what's actually, going on. And yeah. it wasn't.
Did you think when that happened to you one day I'll be recording a podcast just about this thing?
You know what? Yes.
Oh, good, good.
My love for this game was so strong. I feel like I knew this was going to happen.
Was this before or after you discovered Reborn? I'm trying to get a timeline of events.
Wait, when did me and my boyfriend watch Reborn? It might have been before Bloodborne.
Mm-hmm.
But also deep in my heart, I knew that I was going to do a podcast about Reborn with a person who is very knowledgeable about Bloodborne, a game I have not played yet.
Yeah, yeah,
It's
yeah,
all falling
yeah,
together.
yeah,
Okay, so the kidnappers.
yeah.
What are the kidnappers?
They're very, very large men.
Are you saying they're big daddies?
Bloodborne's full of big daddies.
Hmm.
When you initially encounter them, you might not like. You might just think they're very, very tall people, but when you get a better look at them, they're covered in like they have very, very pale skin. It's almost blue, and they're covered in these strange sort of swirling tattoos. And they
Hmm.
exhibit these sort of mystical powers, like they can create this sort of aura around themselves. They can pull you toward them with a sort of wave they create with their hand. So they're
Hmm.
clearly not ordinary humans. There's something else about them.
Hmm.
Yes. And it's sort of revealed a bit if you start exploring the chalices, because you realize that they're actually down in the chalices as well. Yes, they're wandering around down there. So it becomes apparent then that, oh, these are actually like these aren't humans. These are the Thumerians that the Healing Church has working for them.
Hmm.
Mm.
And in this case, do they work with menses?
Yeah, if you look at the Grand Cathedral, it's got the giants and the pale sort of church servants working for them, the ones with the lanterns and the canes that look like ghosts. And then the menses equivalents are the snatchers, the kidnappers with their it's like the other Thumerians that are working with them. In the same way that menses also have the eye collectors working for them.
Hmm.
Mm.
And we've talked about this extensively in the podcast, but just generally speaking, can you explain the relationship with menses and Yahargul and what's happening there?
Well, there's a huge like human sacrifice happening in Yahagol that they're trying to use to beckon the Red Moon.
Hmm.
And the exact nature of the ritual is never made clear because it happens off screen, but it's clear that it's some sort of human sacrifice because all the body parts and things will be used to call down the Red Moon. And Thumerians are very weird because it's sort of like I've likened them almost to like bees. Sort of like it looks like there's just there's a queen and then the rest of them seem to be sort of drones who will sort of do as they're told, basically. Because they don't appear to have very much free will. Like the ones around the church just seem to be like working for the church. We don't know what they're getting in return. Um, and you can see under the clinic, like they're digging up giants and things. So it looks like it's almost like they're just zombies that will do what they're told. So basically, Mensis, to perform their ritual, they need a ton of body parts. And the bagmen, what they're doing is they're kidnapping people from around Yarnum. And then they're taking them to Yahagol, where they're then kept in the prison, then led out and sacrificed as part of the ritual. And the eye collectors are a similar thing where they're just harvesting eyes. So between the two of them, like you have people who are just collecting tons and tons of body parts and people that they can use in their ritual.
Thank you. You know that sort of part of Bloodborne where people are just being kidnapped, locked up, and their body parts are used for weird rituals?
Yeah.
It's very like horror movie plot.
Yes.
Yeah, it's very cool.
Yeah.
Um, okay. Could you describe what the Thumerians look like in terms of what they're wearing, their bags, stuff like that?
What in general or the bag ones?
Oh, sorry, I meant bagmen. Yeah.
Okay, so the bagmen, like most of the Thumerians, they're very, very tall and lithe. They have
Hmm.
very long, thin limbs.
Hmm.
Um, the difference between them and the other Thumerians is that they're actually taller than most of them. And their faces, if you look at them, most of the Thumerians, they have like sort of no expression. They just have these like black eyes and a white face, and sort of they just like stare directly forward like they're a zombie. The bagmen actually have like expression. They have
Hmm.
a sort of like smirk to them. It's almost like they seem to like enjoy what they're doing almost.
Hmm.
Like they seem to have a bit more like self-awareness and more of a sense of self, I guess, than the other Thumerians.
Yeah, and on Bloodborne-Wiki, there's two pictures actually.
Yeah.
One where the Thumerian like kind of looks at you and you can see a little smirk, and the other
Yeah.
one when they're about to hit you, and it does look like they're laughing, you know?
Yeah. You want to know where those pictures came from?
Tell me.
I took them.
You took them, so you know exactly which ones I'm talking about.
Yeah, the whole Bloodborne-Wiki page on the Snatchers. It lists all of the locations and all the places where their bodies appear after a certain point. You find dead ones.
Hmm.
Um, all of that was done by me.
Wow. Bravo,
Yeah,
Richie.
to go through the whole game, logging every single kidnapper and every single like corpse afterward. And like, what happens is after the Mensis ritual, the snatchers, I keep calling them snatchers, the kidnappers in Yahagul die. And you find
Hmm.
their bodies, and Meph was like, well, do we know if the bodies appear anywhere else? And I said, I don't think so. And she said, well, we have to find out. There's only one way to find out, and that's to backtrack through every area where there is a kidnapper just to see if the body is there. And no, it's just the ones in Yahagul.
Uh-huh.
They all have two bloodstone chunks on them.
Thank you, Richie. Their clothes that they're wearing are like rags.
Yeah,
Well, actually, they're rags, but they're very fashionable. It could
yeah,
also be that that's their style, you know?
yeah,
They're like
yeah,
avant garde.
yeah,
I actually quite like what they're wearing because I love giant hoodies with
yeah,
hoods, and
yeah.
that's essentially what they wear.
It is,
So,
yeah. Do
yeah.
you like their tattoos?
They're okay. I feel like they're a
Yeah,
little edgy, maybe.
yeah,
Like they got them when they were in college. They were like, "Woo, insight, slugs," to that on their chest, you know?
yeah, yeah,
Yeah. Also, their bags are very creepy because I see here, and it's not necessarily something I paid like specific attention to before, but the
yeah.
bags are bloody.
Yeah, because they're full of like dead bodies.
Yeah, so when they kidnap you, you're actually in this bloody bag with a bunch of bloody parts.
Yesh.
Oh, love it. And another thing is, you actually sent me a model of the kidnappers.
Yeah, yeah. Was that the one where I took the robe off?
Yeah. Do you remember what I did? I'm very creative.
You did a lot of things,
No,
and you
specifically
also
to the
said a lot of things, some of which I can't repeat on this Patreon only, but still all ages.
Did I?
The,
I just
you said a number of things that I feel like, well, this is a sign that we've known each other for a long time, that you feel comfortable talking about that with me.
that's funny. No, I just remember that I put a face on them. I remember being like, "Oh, that one looks like Putin," and so I put Putin's face on them, and they looked very similar.
Mm.
Uh, thank you, Richie. I'll have to find that picture and post it in this podcast to show off my Photoshop skills.
Yeah, that's good.
Thank you. Okay. Um so now let's move on to the question, where are the kidnappers?
Well, this is interesting because they're one of the few enemies that their position changes as the game progresses.
What?
Say what?
Go on.
So, initially, you can actually go through the whole game up until. Yeah, you can go through the whole game and never encounter one of these.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, because what happens is they only appear after you have defeated the blood-starved beast.
Right.
Right. Now, you will eventually go back to Yahagol, because it's mandatory to travel there. But at the point at which it becomes mandatory to go to Yahagol, they're actually all dead.
So you'll encounter the dead ones and you'll be
Yeah,
like, what is this?
it's possible to go through the game and only find snatches after they're dead, and never actually
Right.
fight one. Yeah. But I guess most people will at some point go to Old Yharnam and fight the blood-starved beast. So they will. It's something people have in. It's not super rare like the labyrinth mole or something like that.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So what happens is that there's no kidnappers in the game up until you defeat the blood-starved beast. When you do that, a bunch of them spawn. One of them spawns outside Erden Chapel. One of them spawns near the church that leads to Old Yharnam. One spawns in an underground part of Cathedral Ward that you can't get to without the Bloodstarved Beast anyway, so you'll never not find it there. One spawns in the woods. And they stay there, and if any of them kill you, you will end up in Yahagol as a prisoner.
Mm-hmm.
And then in Yahagol itself, there's a ton of them. I think there's like six or seven snatchers just wandering around. Keep calling them snatchers because that was the old name for them before we
Yeah.
had a proper one. They're all sort of patrolling the area. And once you've been taken to Yahagol once, after that, they will just straight up kill you. You don't go to Yahagol again.
Mm-hmm.
So after that, it's just treated as a standard death.
Mm-hmm.
And after the Red Moon happens, after the Menses ritual, the ones that are outside of Yahagol all disappear. And the ones in Yahagol, there's not one corpse for every one of them. There's only 4 corpses. So when you return to Yahagol, all the snatches will be gone, and there will be the 4 dead ones lying around.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, they're one of the few enemies that's genuinely kind of dynamic.
Interesting.
Yes.
Let's move on to the why question.
Okay.
Why do they show up?
Well, it's never actually specified why killing the blood-starved beast makes them show up. The best explanation is that Mensis are looking for the chalice in Old Yharnam. They somehow need that for the ritual they're performing. It's very weird because the ritual happens regardless of what you do. But it seems like Mensis really want that chalice. It's part, like, you can come up with all kinds of reasons why they might need it, considering, like, you can find all kinds of stuff in the chalices. There's, like, eldritch knowledge. There's the, body parts, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
That will be helpful for the ritual. It does look a lot like it's just that. It's that once Old Yharnam is sort of, like, locked down, like, once it's possible to go there, and use that altar or whatever the hell's going on, that's like, okay, the ritual's now moving on to phase 2 or whatever. The problem being that, like I said, you can go through the whole game and never go to Old Yharnam, and everything happens the same way. But early on, Like it got as far as being recorded. There's a line from Alfred where he's like, "The church want the chalice in Old Yarnum. That's why they're trying to go there, but it's locked down." And like Yahagul itself is adjacent to Old Yarnum, so it's something to do with that. It's something like once you sort of clear out Old Yarnum and you retrieve the chalice, it's like, okay, we're now in the rituals moving to the next phase.
Hmm.
But yeah, it's odd because it makes no difference. Like you can ignore it entirely and the ritual still happens. But early on, like yeah, there is. It's actually it got as far as it's in the trailer. Alfred talks about Old Yarnum. It's like it's home only to beasts, and then the second part of that line it's still in the files, it's just unused. As he says, like the church are trying to get to the chalice, so it's something to do with that, but it's not. Yeah, it's again because like the progression is a bit weird. You can also ignore it.
Hmm.
Mm.
Okay. Thank you, Richie. And why do they die or disappear?
Again, it's never explicitly stated why that's happening, but it looks a lot like the ritual killed them because in their sacks they have all these dead bodies, and around the dead ones that you find, there are those scourge beasts that are made out of body parts. The ones that just look like a heap of like bodies came to life, and it seems to be that the body parts that they were carrying around, like when the Mentos ritual happened, those just came to life and killed them. Like they were sort of surprised, like taken unaware by the massive like heap of corpses coming to life, and they were just killed.
Hmm.
Like that seems to be the simplest explanation of what's happened.
Okay. Thank you, Richie. I guess that's it. Okay, this
Wow.
outline worked really well for the bagman.
Yeah. Yeah. That was Huge Sacks of Bloodborne, Part 1. Spent all day talking about this guy's massive sack. Just swinging it around. Getting hit in the face with that sack. You know, we all secretly want it. We want to get to Yahagul, so we just got to get hit with that sack.
Thank you, Richie.
Patreon.com/SinclairLaw.